Hey, it's that fantasy chick back again with another stream. It's Wednesday, and there will be an episode of The Flash today, I'm pretty sure. There was a new episode of Superman and Lois and Gotham Knights, although I did not get through Gotham Knights. I'm sorry. I got tired of the weekly Scooby Gang, find a clue. I just every week it's we gotta find a clue, but it's like it's the court of owls. You gotta find clues to help you prove it's the court of owls. I'll check in at the end when you have all the clues together that's going to help you prove that it's the court of owls. Until then, I'm checking out. It's just it's lost me. It's lost my interest. It had me for a minute, but it's lost my interest. Um, and Superman and Lois, my goodness, still good. Still watching. Probably won't not stop watching that show. But first, have somewhat news on Static Shock and James Gunn. Of course, I have an article because I saw somebody reporting on this. God, not that it fell off because it's the same quality. The quality is the same. It's just that I was no longer interested in following the clues because it's like every week is the same thing. Every week you have to watch them find a clue that was going to help them prove that it's the Court of Owls that really killed Bruce Wayne. So because you know who killed Bruce Wayne and now they just have to prove it, it's like, and these it's this organization that's this super powerful that like they run all of Gotham and they have all of this power, and it's about them finding the proof that can bring down an organization that powerful. And every week is one tiny little clue that when they finally get it, it's like, oh, it doesn't illuminate as much as we think it thought it was going to. We still need to find something else. So HBO don't upload weekly. Really? You know, if you want that, if you want to watch Superman and Lois, there is a CW app because I have Roku and there's a CW app and I have it on Roku, but I'm pretty sure you can get it anywhere where you can get apps. There's a CW app and they'll show the episodes the very next day. And they That's how I usually watch all my CW shows. I usually watch through the CW app anyway. Um because it's the shows only stay on there for so long, but if I'm going to watch it right away, I watch it through the app. So to do. But first, let's get to this Static Shock and James Gunn news. I have an article. I saw some people talking about this, and of course, it's a lot of talk. So the article is padded down, but it is something. So here we go. So DC Studios boss James Gunn confirms DCU plans for Static and other milestone characters. Right. DC Studios co CEO James Gunn has seemingly confirmed that the new DC universe will include Static and more milestone characters, though there's currently no word on when or where they'll actually appear. DC Studios is in the midst of putting together its new DCU slate, though we only know a sampling of what's heading our way as part of Chapter 1. Gods and Monsters, understandably, Superman and Batman look set to be at the forefront of this reboot. Though characters like Swamp Thing, Green Lantern, and Supergirl will also take center stage. Now, James Gunn has revealed whether fans can expect to see any Milestone Universe characters join the fray in the universe. As you can see below, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 director has confirmed he has something planned for Static, news that we're sure many of you are going to welcome. The most well-known hero to hail from Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cowan, Michael Davis. I actually met Michael Davis once. Derek T. Dingle and Christopher Priest, Milestone Universe. There have long been talks of bringing Virgil Hawkins to the screen. In 2021, we learned that Black Panther star Michael B. Jordan was developing a movie, though it was likely part of the previous Warner Brothers regime that wanted to bring DCEU movies to HBO Max. Along with starring in 4 seasons of his own animated TV show, Static Shock, the hero has appeared in episodes of Justice League Unlimited and Young Justice. While Gunn is touring the world to promote his Guardians of the Galaxy threequel, it's unclear how much he'll be talking to the press. If he does take part in junkets, though, we can likely expect him to drop a few more hints about both the DCU and his plans for Superman Legacy. So far, the DC Studios CEO appears open to making use of pretty much any and every character, so we're sure Static isn't the only possibility on the table right now. So, all they have right now is a tweet. Do you have any plans for Static or any of the milestone characters? Animation, Elseworlds, James Gunn. Yes. So that's what we have. Yes. Yeah, Static Shock. Static Shock has a lot of people have been calling for a Static Shock something like a movie, another TV show, something for Static. So like I said, if they could do Blue Beetle, they can do a Static something. So all we got is that tweet. But as we've learned from the past, his tweets have weight behind them. So usually when he tweets something, he means it. But all we have is yes. That's it. Yes. Yes. You don't want Michael Jordan be hands. Well, see, that was with the previous regime, with the Walter Hamada regime, which is now long gone. So that's dead in the water. That's dead in the water. I don't think any of that is going to happen, especially since he's supposed to be Superman. So I think they're still going to have him be Superman. I mean, that Superman that they were planning on having with him, I think they were still planning on doing that. So that might be still be part of, Elseworlds content. I believe I heard they were still planning on doing that. So yeah, that Michael B. Jordan most likely would have not is not going to have anything to do with anything that James Gunn is going to do with Static Shock, or any Milestone character. But we'll see. Well, you'll never know. Maybe they'll come together. Don't like the mustache. Okay. Yes. Um, so yeah, so that was exciting to see. When I saw that, I had to look it up myself, and when I saw it was just a tweet, I was like, I wish it was something. I wished it was something more than just a tweet, but it was. But I was like, okay, it's something, and it's something straight, and it's something straight from his mouth rather than from some source. Because if it was from some other source, I wouldn't have said anything. But at least it's a yes from James Gunn. I would take that. I would take that from now. Um, but in the meanwhile, so Superman and Lois this season has been triggering, super triggering because of Lois's fight with cancer, and it's just taking me back into my childhood, and my mom's battle with cancer. So it's been super triggering. I feel like every episode just takes me right back to that period. And they're just doing this hyper realistic portrayal. And every episode is something different. This episode, they were dealing with Clark's inability to accept that things may not go well. They started off with him in this support group for spouses, and he watched all these different people speak and tell their stories. And when it was over, he goes and he talks to Lois, and he's like, "Yeah, that's not for me." Super upbeat, and like, can't relate. And when later on, when he sees that she's doing estate planning, for and trying to plan out her will, he's like, "Why are you doing this? What are you doing? You're young. You don't need to do this." And it's like, come on, dude. Even if she didn't have cancer, you need to have a will. That's just silly. But I was like, Clark is in major denial. So the main plot of the story, outside of them dealing with Lois, is this another one of these characters that Bruno Mannheim had did experiments on, was in jail, and he was dying, and he did he call for Superman? I think he called for Superman. He called for Superman and was like, "I need Bruno Mannheim because I'm dying." And Superman, of course, used his X-ray vision to see that there was, tumors everywhere. So he was like, "Take me to Bruno Mannheim." And Bruno Mannheim had already told Superman, "Don't you ever come back to my house." But Superman, being Superman, he didn't care. He brought the man to his house, and he was like, "Look, he is dying. He said you're the only one who could save him." And Bruno Mannheim was like, "Well, then you better take him to the hospital because there ain't nothing I can do." It was like, that's cold blooded. You knew you did these experiments on him. But anyway, so Superman speeds him on out of there, but the dude dies anyway. And Lois has received all of the files that Bruno Mannheim sent her from the doctor who runs his clinic, and she's going through them and getting ready to for her article on the clinic. Um, Real life trauma. Okay. Yeah. It's it's something. It's something, but because it's done well, I can take it. If it was just triggering, I probably would be like, and I'm out. But because it's well written and well acted, I can take it and I can deal with it. And because they don't linger on it too as well, it's not they don't linger on it. Um, and they deal with it and they move on. So I can deal with it. Yeah, and he was in denial about that too. Because she's like, one day, even if I do beat this, one day I'm going to die. Even if you don't get sick, even if you live on. mm, you know, that's I'm gonna die. So so he really did not want to hear that. So she was getting the getting ready to write going through the files to write the article. And while she was at the clinic, she was talking to one of the other patients, and the other patient was like, oh, you're writing an article in the clinic, maybe I can talk to you about it, da 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 da, because of course, they have nothing but good things to talk about. Oh, she told him she was writing an article not just on the clinic, but on the whole neighborhood, because Bruno Mannheim, he's very intertwined in this whole neighborhood. So she was like, okay, well, I'm from this neighborhood. I could, give you some insight. So they plan on going to lunch. And of course, she tells her about how Bruno Mannheim was this savior. He turned things around. He did blah, blah. Very Lex Luthorish. Very Lex Luthorish. Very much does all these good things on the surface while doing dirt deep down that nobody can see. So he can be untouchable. Is very much like Lex Luthor. He's pretty much giving me black Lex Luthor right now. And it's just like black Lex Luthor from the hood. That's what I'm getting from Bruno Mannheim. So he built his hood up, and he's like, ain't nobody, Superman didn't come into this neighborhood. Superman didn't save people from this neighborhood. He didn't care about nobody from this neighborhood. so so it was just, she just was singing his praises and things like that. And then another storyline, because there's always multiple storylines on this show, is Jordan, the kid, the twin with powers. He was just itching to actually get out there and save people along with Superman. And the same way Clark is just not on board with the reality of Lois, maybe not getting better. He is not on board with this boy going out and saving people. He's like, you need to train. And he was like, the boy was like, I did all the simulations in the Fortress of Solitude. And so they go back to the Fortress of Solitude, and he started making him do double simulations. And then he starts shooting him with lasers. He just, he just started coming at the poor little boy. And, and the boy was like, it's not fair. He was like, it's not going to be fair. These people are going to be trying to kill you and blah, 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 blah. And of course, they get into a fight, father and son, superheroes. He wants to get out. He feels like he's holding him back, and he feels like he's not listening to him and not trying to be safe. So they're at a standoff. Yes, Lex Luthor was the king of squeaky clean to your face and crooked under the table. Yes, and this is what Bruno Mannheim is giving. This is what he's giving. He is giving that because, and then he has this clinic where he's doing all these. He's using the clinic as a front for all these experiments that he's doing with Superman's blood. They somehow got a hold of Superman's blood and synthesized it, and they've been injecting it into people. And they've been doing all these experiments. And that's what they've been doing with this clinic. But on the top, it's like, this world-class clinic that has, this chemotherapy treatments and all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. So Lois got into it to do chemotherapy treatments for herself. She's like, well, I got to do chemotherapy, so let me go do chemotherapy at this clinic so I can go investigate it, as only Lois Lane would do. So, but, of course, everything he shows her is top, above board, but all the experiments are happening underground. So, of course, you're not going to see his underhanded experiments. They're all underground. And so at one point, I'm trying to remember. I lost the thread. I've lost the thread of the story about Bruno Mannheim coming after. Okay. So Bruno Mannheim has this thing or whatnot that's with him that has this strange face. And they have this power connected to sound. They can mimic sound, they can mimic other people's voices, and they kind of like have the same sort of powers as Black Canary. They can pull out all these sonic waves, and it's not something that will pierce your ears, but it's like these sonic waves that sort of like these wind or whatnot, this wind that will really mess you up. So she tricks Superman into coming after her by, calling out for help as Lois. So he goes, he goes after her, and this was after he had, finally sat down and apologized to his son and just told him like, hey, I just wanted to, make sure you were safe, blah, 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 blah. But he apologized to him. But then while they were there, they both heard Lois calling for help. So he's like, okay, you stay here. And then he went after her. So then then she comes and she starts knocking him out with her sonic waves. And then three soldiers come in with these like kryptonite laser guns and started, coming at him with these laser guns. And they expected him to go down, and he is not going down. And she's like, what the hell? Why isn't he going down? And so she like comes at him again with the sonic waves, and he's just like, he just won't go down. He's just like, nope. He is holding on. And so back at the house, Lois Lane comes in, and her son was like, oh, are you all right? And she was like, what are you talking about? He was like, we heard you calling for help. Dad went to go save you. And she was like, listen for your father and tell me what you hear. And then he listened, and he could hear that, he basically heard him. Uh, he basically heard what was going on with him. And so he was like, oh, we should call the DOD. And she was like, the DOD is not going to get there fast enough. You need to go save your father. So he flew out there. And while, they basically had him down on his knees at this point. And Jordan comes in and knocks the three soldiers out. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And before he can take out the so no more kryptonite laser. And before he could take out the thing with the sonic waves, she gets at him. But I think he goes after her, and then a soldier comes at him with a laser gun and just shoots him, and it just knocks him out. And that, of course, pisses Superman off, because she still got him pinned down with her sonic waves. But when they knocked out Jordan, he goes supersonic, and he takes all of them out. Takes them all out, and then goes checks on his son. So then later on, you see the thing with the thing on its face. It's a mask. You take the mask off, and it's this black woman, and she basically tells Bruno Mannheim she's sweating in the face and whatnot, and she's like, Superman ain't dead. We could not kill Superman. And he's like, basically, don't worry, we'll find the cure, blah 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 blah. So I'm guessing he called a name, but I can't remember what the name is. I guess the cure is for her, for whoever she is. He's trying to find a cure for her. And let's not forget, they have Bizarro's body, and they're going to try to use Superman's blood to reanimate Bizarro. And we have no idea how that's going to go when they do that. Ain't no telling. This one looked creepy and crazy until you realize it's a mask. It's a mask, but it was the way the face looked and the way she talked. It was just creepy. It was ugh. It was nightmare fuel. I was like, why would they pick to make her look like that? But so Superman checked on Jordan, and then Jordan woke up. He was fine. And then he realized that the kryptonite didn't have the same effect on Jordan as it did on him. So, because remember, Jordan is only half Kryptonian. He's half Kryptonian, half human. So because of his human side, it's not going to have the same effect on him as it has on Superman. So although he was knocked out, it's not as lethal to him as it is to Superman. So, so there's that. So we still got to worry about what Bruno Mannheim is up to, what he's going to do with Bizarro, what's going to happen when he reanimates Bizarro, what they going to get into at this cancer clinic while this woman is getting her chemotherapy treatments, because she is not just going to sit there and get treatments and not try to get up in the midst of his mess. She's going to find that underground clinic where they do their experiments. I know she is because she's Lois Lane, and she's always sticking her head where she has no business. She's gonna find that underground clinic. And so yeah, there was a whole other storyline I didn't even get into, with the other son helping out Lana Lang and her family find a little girl. And this is hilarious because I'm always talking about how they never have that other little girl. They never have. I was like, why did they even have two children when they never have that little girl? And this whole episode was about her saying, they never have me. They never want me around. And I'm like, girl, you right. They never want you around because you ain't never in any episode. You always away. They can't. I was like, you ain't never lied, because you were never in any episode. They always find a way to get rid of you. You are never on screen. It's like they can't even say you lying when you're talking about. So of course she runs away to some abandoned fairgrounds and whatnot, and Jonathan had to help them find her and talk her down and get her to come home and blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's like this little girl. It's like, of course, they finally had to address the fact that this little girl exists, but she's never around, and they never do anything with her ever. So I guess now that she's older, maybe they're gonna start doing stuff with her. But because she's reached preteen years, and now she can be whiny and in the way. So that's all for Superman and Lois. I watch The Flash today. Finally get to see the episode with Oliver. And they also bring back Wally in this episode. So we'll see Wally and Oliver. And they bring back a villain from like a couple of years ago. So, dude from Heroes. I don't know his real name. I don't know people's name, but he was from Heroes, the show Heroes. But what else? I have a video for Friday. It's another Smallville video. And that is all for today. So if that is all, thanks for watching.